amazing. I think it's great, and I think it's really fun. I wish it were more interactive watching it. I wish there was. The commenting is kind of there, but I wish there was just more. I wish there was more interaction with the announcers, with people online. I wish there was more going on, which they were doing at one point. The ASP, I remember Quicksilver Pro, you had like guys like Shmoo reading off comments, from people and responding to them. And it wasn't like a veneer or like just trying to keep it professional. They were surf, so they responded surfy. And I thought that was really cool. So, but in terms of this contest being on, I don't think it should be on this list.
They should be on the list. Yeah, it's not as watershed a moment as
no, the one for me would maybe be the Pipe Masters 2000. In perfect pipe, Rob Machado, Mick Lowe. I was in the new school computer library watching it in pixelated form, watching Rob Machado drop into what I looked like perfect pipe, but you could barely tell because it was so pixelated.
Oh, because that was one of the first. Actually, no,
one of the first for me.
Although was the first one the Java Quicksilver Java Pro?
No, that was not filmed live. That was never streamed live. It was only just made into a movie and video and packaged. It was not streamed live. The internet didn't have the infrastructure to do that.
When was the Sydney Olympics? When was that?
2000.
Yeah, and then they said that they used that setup and they brought it to G-Land.
Yeah, after 2000.
Yeah.
But not
anyway, okay, let's move on to the next one.
It shouldn't be on there, Matt. It shouldn't be on there. There are plenty of other moments. I would take that one off.
Oh my God, we've only done 3 so far.
Yeah, Jesus. But we're
bear with us, everyone. Okay.
Surf's Up premiere. You agree with this?
I agree that it was probably the first good surfing fiction movie. Having said that, okay, I love
Big Wednesday.
I love Big Wednesday and I love North Shore, but this was a much better film. Like this was actually, I think if you don't surf and you have no interest in surfing, Big Wednesday and North Shore, like they're funny and they're pretty and stuff like that, but and they're interesting if you give it time. But Surf's Up, like just you show it to someone, that's a really watchable film with a really tight story, great tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. It's interesting, like I was saying before to read, Matt wrote a Surfer's Journal article in the 90s called Rough Cut Surfing on Film.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it addresses all the surf videos, but also the actual surf movies, movies made about surfing, with stories. And they were saying at that point, there hadn't been an actual quality surf movie like, say, The Natural or Bull Durham was for baseball, or The Hoosiers were for basketball. And why not? It's surfing, like basketball and all that, is it much more interesting? Is it better for a film? And he said, they just hadn't got good writers yet, and they hadn't got good characters yet. If you had, and he said actually one of the best surf films was Apocalypse Now, and that only has 5-10 minute surf scene, but it was an actual film with a thing. The surfing was on the periphery; it wasn't the main thing. And have you seen Surf's Up? Yeah,
it's what it is. It's like it's a movie that made. It's the best surf movie made by non-surfers, basically. You had to in order to make a good surf Hollywood movie, it needed to be made by a lot of non-surfers
or professional film writers,
professional filmmakers. Well, it's interesting. I mean, look, Zalman King is a professional filmmaker, but he also had Matt George in his ear when he made In God's Hands. So
and hats off to Matt George. Hats off to Denny Alberg.
And
don't
forget
writing.
King.
I mean, they're not professional screenwriter, or that's not their main gig, and they still pulled it off. I mean, God, I'm pretty impressed with what they did. But whoever wrote Surf's Up, that's probably their real job.
Yeah, but I would challenge Matt on this. And I would say, I don't think, again, based on my definition of biggest moments, of echoes and impact. Ooh, I like that. That could be a name of a podcast. Echoes and Impact by Tyler Breuer. But I think Blue Crush would replace Surf's Up for me. Not the best surf film by any stretch. Awful dialogue, awful whole bunch of stuff. Totally off on, just someone going right, going left. There's a lot of problems with it. But that movie probably had more impact than Blue Crush. It probably spurred more people. Yeah, I mean Surf's Up. Yeah, sorry. Blue Crush had more impact than Surf's Up in terms of spurring people to want to surf or want to learn to surf. I think that movie helped push a lot more potentially. And I'm coming from a male perspective here, so I'm clearly not the person to really speak totally to this, but I feel like I noticed more female surfing after that than before. And I think that movie had an impact. And I've talked to a number of people who've all said that movie had a bit of an impact on them or helped motivate them. And for a lot of people, it's very nostalgic now, actually. And they look at it like we look at North Shore maybe, or Big Wednesday. So I personally would have put Blue Crush in there in terms of greatest impact, but great movie, no less. Got
Do you
cameos
still think if Blue Crush was the movie that Matt had chosen, would you consider that worthy of the list, though?
Depends on how he defines biggest surf moments and what he, if he's going by my definition of echoes and effects and impact on culture, yes, I would totally agree with it. I'm not being contrarian for contrarian's sake. I firmly believe Blue Crush had a huge impact on surf culture, more than a lot of people realize.
Did it get more, do you think it got more women into surfing than anything else?
I think it did. I personally think it did. I think it's super important to see people doing it in order to make you feel comfortable trying it. I really do think that is a very important thing. We need to see ourselves up there in order to think that we can do that. And there weren't any female surf movies. You had the original Blue Crush by Bill Ballard that came out, but these were surf movies, like proper surf videos, not a Hollywood film to appeal to the masses. And Blue Crush totally appealed to the masses. It was, I don't know if you remember, it was such a huge hit.
Yeah. Although it wasn't actually Kate Bosworth surfing.
No, it was Noah Johnson.
Yes.
Which is really wearing a wig and a bikini. And it's kind of fucked up.
I mean, there were just so many great women surfers at the time.
They totally could have done it with female surfer. And I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there when they were filming it, but it definitely feels like we've come a long way, I think, since 2000. Do
you think Noah Johnson, though, opened up doors for other types of surfers?
Hey, it's very possible. I don't know. I can't speak to that personally, but it's definitely something I think we could do.
Speaking of women,
yes.
The next thing. I'm not bringing up just some random.
Let's go to the next. Let's go to number 5. I'm copying Ain't That Swell. I love their finger buns and they do the whole countdown and echo. I wish I could do that. Steph Gilmore wins first world title, which I would totally hands down agree is one of the most important moments in surfing history in general, I think.
Now hang on a sec. In the actual surf joint,
yeah,
I'm not quite. He doesn't say why it's a mega moment.
Well, why don't we ask Matt why that is? Because Matt is joining us by surprise on Zoom. Matt Warshaw has just entered the building. Jamie, you are surprised. Now look at your face. You're just so excited. Matt, are you there?
Can you see me?
We can hear you, but not see you.
I can see you guys. Oh, hold on. How do I get on here? Hold on.
Hit the video thing.
There we go.
God. I have to say, I feel like I'm watching a Billabong movie in the 80s right now.
Surf into Summer coming alive.
You know, the one after Surf into Summer was Filthy Habits, right?
One of my faves. And
So,
it has no narration.
The reason Filthy Habits doesn't have any narration was because Surf into Summer, when I heard it, was so horrifying to me. And I thought I sounded so dumb that I talked Hurley into letting me do the next one with no narration. You know, because and he liked it. I remember I was once at a dinner on the North Shore, probably about 94. When did Kelly win his like third title around there? Somehow I got
it was the second world.
All right, somehow I got invited out to the dinner at in Haleiwa somewhere, and I was just like the old guy sitting at one end of the table, and everyone's sort of all those Momentum generation guys were doing their thing, and at one point, and I hadn't met any of them. I'd been kind of off the scene for a while. At one point, Ross Williams turns to me and he goes, "You did the narration into Surf into Summer." You know, I thought I'd escaped it, and then like all of a sudden, all the heads swivel to me, and they'd all go, "Yeah, I thought I knew that voice." You know, so
Aki can make it happen. When Aki's feeling it, Aki can make it happen. It's like the best. And it's kind of sexualized in some way too.
I mean, but it's funny because I had a moment like that whilst watching Surf into Summer. I was watching Surf into Summer, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's the guy from Tales of the Seven Seas." That was Mike Perry, wasn't it? Author, the editor of Surf.
Because the voices sound they're very baritone-y, you know?
Might have, yeah. So
well,
how long have you guys been talking?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm dropping in kind of like,
nah.
Like you guys have been playing hoops for about an hour, and I'm showing up and I'm still all stiff and I've got my street shoes on and I'm not ready. I just got to jump in, and
I'm about halfway done with my whiskey and I finished my beer. Nice. So I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right.
I think the hoops, walking into a game of hoops is more G-rated than the analogy I made before.
I
think we've edited that one out already.
I'm down for whatever.
I
was thinking when I was thinking
Margot Robbie joining
in. What's that?
No. Inside joke.
I was thinking like if I had planned this better, I would have come up with some kind of like history with us. Like I could have said, Tyler, man, it's been so long since we backpacked through Europe after college, and like I was going to go like,
oh man, now you're really aging me.
like Jamie, I really owe you for letting me crash at your place after my third divorce, kind of thing. Like I was going to make all this shit up, you know. But actually, I've only met Tyler. You and I have met once.
Yeah.
And then Jamie, this is our introduction, right? Jamie, this is our introduction. So.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
So we were just starting Steph Gilmore wins first world title.
Yep.
But before we dive into it, I want to know what was your criteria here for biggest surf moments?
Oh, for the biggest surf moments.
Yeah, we're talking about biggest surf moments. Like, what was your criteria?
I suppose, and it's going to sound really soft, I think, but I tend to think about what had the biggest ripple effect. Like, I mean, it's pretty random, right? But it's like if you drop the thing I'm talking about, you know, how much effect did it have? How far did it go? And how much did it cause us? How many people sort of sat up and went and caught people's attention? How long ago was that joint? Like a few.
Oh, that was that was right before the beginning of that was the end of 2019.
Of course, right. So what is that? 8 or 9 months ago? I can't remember shit.
So good.
I tend to not remember. I'm super deep into whatever I'm doing, like right now, right today. So I'm doing a riff right now on Diana Ross and my imagined love affair between Diana Ross and Mike Doyle, which you'll read about later.
That's like yours and Margot Robbie's, Jamie.
I was just writing this sentence for the joint where it was like I was imagining Diana Ross being Mike Doyle's tandem partner because she was so tiny, And then I thought, but if you go a little further, I think Doyle had enough sense of humor to do this. Like, what if instead of like him twirling her